Conor and Reno O'Leary from Dunamore in Cork. We're milking about 130 cows and followers here. The farm's running between about 450 to 720 feet, so it's largely exposed, as you can probably see from all the wind behind us today. We're on 90 owned acres and about 90 rented acres is what we go by. Spring calving, and we run a herd was originally a Holstein herd, went 2 crosses British Frisian, and now it's mixing. We're breeding to AAA matchings, which is good. Very even herd, quite a good robust herd to deal with. So I suppose it's just the two of us are running here, and seasonally we'll run kind of different. I'll probably spend more time in the milking parlour during calving season and do calvings and stuff. Really, probably concentrate on calves and so on, and might reverse roles slightly then as we head towards breeding. I'll probably look after more of the grassland. Rena hits the milking parlour a bit more than I do then, and I suppose we just we look towards technologies as a means of making life easier and probably more accurate, and that's certainly where we came on board with the Moonsyst technology. Came across it probably, I'm thinking back, it's at least 2 years ago maybe. So in that time and working with Des and crew, just been using boluses, trying them out, seeing how they work to our systems, and really refining it now to I think a fine art, and exactly where we would want it to be in terms of what we can get out of it. And I would say that we're probably getting a lot more out of it now than we would have originally expected as just a sort of a heat detection unit. It's much more than that now. Yeah. Again, part of this our want towards technology really was to and we talk about accuracy, and I just finding that spending a lot of time off farm with IFA duties and so on, that a lot of things like being around for all of the calvings or being exactly sure when cows should be pulled for calving, things like calving alerts were extremely important.
And that he could ring home and let me know to go out to the shed and see is that calf after cow after calving.
These things happen, like and that's the way it works. On the low temperature alerts, we would have had one or two during calving, just immediately after calving, certainly, and from the low temperature alert we'd have gone in with our calcium and so on, and they come around. But there was one noticeable one, again away on duty, but it was a really bad night here, and a cow came in low temperature alert in the morning.
But she came in last.
She came in last, yeah.
And
she was shivering.
She was, and that's why we always know when there's a sick cow as well. And like a lot of farmers would notice, this be unusual for this cow to come in last. And I was going, what's wrong with her? And then all I had to do was actually ring Conor and say, look, I think there's an issue here. And you looked up on the phone, and there it was.
The temperature was, put her to a straw bed. And I suppose the beauty about it happened to be a Sunday. And whether you ring the vet or whether you don't ring the vet, but I was actually able to monitor the body temperature and the recovery of the body temperature, over the next 2 to 3 hours as she went down the straw bed, and it meant there was no vet call.
No.
And I was back in the evening, and she was A1.
She was perfect.
And again, saved the call, but just the comfort of being able to remotely monitor the health of the cow.
All she needed was a bit of love and care inside in the straw bed. She just, we didn't put her out because it was winter time, it was cold. And she was just content, and it started her. No treatment, just put her in there.
Yeah, we ran 2 years of issues with cell counts, real issues, where cows, and they weren't manifesting clinically really, but they were turning up in milk recording, and you're talking about cell counts, up to 5 million. In individual cows, but pushing us over the 200,000 and a little difficult to control. We would treat the cows more holistically than with antibiotics and things, and lots of them would come back down. But what we're finding this year in particular, and it's cured, we're done with the issue now. But after calving this year, we would get Jerry would send us alerts. Now they'd be on the system. Jerry'd remind us that there was a high temperature alert, and we were probably finding 30% of the high alerts would have clots in the milk, and there was a cow with high cell count.
Yeah.
So it's probably you were finding it, Rena.
Yeah, well, one time Connor was, the day before, the night before milking, I would usually clean out the filter, and the filter was perfect, clear. And then Connor came down the next morning. He said, look, there was a high alert on the phone to this cow, and check her. And I was like, nah, sure, everything was fine the night before, everything was grand. And I checked her, and she had mastitis. Now, very small, but it was just amazing. I couldn't believe that alert within such short hours, and she had mastitis. And we treated her straight away, and 3 days, just gave her the tube. We had to give her a tube just to make sure, and she was perfect after the 3 days.
Absolutely, and fine. But there's
No
no cross-contamination to other cows,
which was great.
How you can find it instantly, because I reckon she'd have gone a couple of days and infected a couple of more cows.
And she would have.
And it was strep ubers was our issue.
Yeah.
And running through them, and it disappears again after a while. But it's a really, really good tool to pull that mastitis, and
we had no issues at
nothing,
all with
nothing
mastitis this year compared to any other year, really. We would have always had some treatments all the time. Well, maybe you get a few weeks of break, but there was sometimes always something. Where this year, I even noticed this morning, I was like, my God, I have a clear run at the milking for the last 2 months of no holding into dump line. They were all going through the ball tank. So if anyone wanted to, if we needed somebody to milk the cows, we'd say, yeah, and you go. There's nothing to treat or anything here. Everything's going perfect, and that is such a handy thing to have.
Yeah. So on heat detection, look, we've had a pretty good conception rate. Historically we're pretty good on the tail paint and pretty good off of our own aids and so on. We AI ourselves. We AI both AM and PM, but not to the AM PM rule, which is probably different to the norm. But our hope here was that the technology would get us to the point of being able to remove bulls really from the system, and that we would specifically be able to breed to the exact cows we wanted to breed for replacements, and the rest would be to beef straws. So that was the aim and the goal. The fact that historically what we've done for many years now is that the minute a cow's in standing heat, we AI her. We find that a much greater percentage of female heifers of course, but female calves to the early AI versus bulls to the later one. Look, that's just our figures, and that's what we've done. We run conception rates to AI of anywhere between 63 and 67 on that system. Some may be slightly higher if they go the AM PM rule, but the beauty about this system was that cow would present in the morning, whether it was off of the alert, or whether it was we would still have tail painted through this procedure of getting familiar with the product, but the capacity just to turn on the phone or the computer and go to the heat chart and know exactly how many hours previous that this cow started to stand in heat versus when we were going to AI was really, really strong. And also the confidence as we went on through the day that if we ate her a little bit too early, by evening time we could look back in our heat chart, and if she was still standing all day, we'll give her a beef straw in the afternoon. But the fact that we had a diagrammatic thing in front of us of exactly when the cow was in heat was a huge help to when we AI'd the cow, or indeed what kind of straw she was going to get. So coming up to breeding, just as we approached D-Day, first day of breeding, we got a breeding report from Moonsyst, and all that was Jerry had looked back, or a capacity to look back on all the previous heats of the cows running up to our start date. And coming up to that start date, we didn't have to bother keeping records of when cows had been in heat or anything. We got the full chart from Jerry and the expected heat date of each cow, and where that came in. The minute the cow came in or presented in the morning, either from the alert or from the tail paint, again onto Jerry's chart, and the accuracy of that chart was just immense. It was bang on to the date for 90% of the cows, some drifting outside of it, maybe 2 days either side. But it's something that we hadn't thought of again with the product, because it was largely, a breeding tool. But the capacity of the pre-breeding report, it kind of stunned us.
Well, it
during,
just took the
during
guessing out of it.
There was
didn't
no
it?
guessing, no more
Where
guessing.
before you were guessing all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe not. You weren't too sure. Like
Guesswork was gone.
Gone, yeah. I suppose what I probably want out of this is just it helps us not to have the bulls around, because we have the safeguard of the Moonsyst now, where we know that they're in heat. We're not relying on a bull. We can inseminate whenever we want, and just to go out in the field, and we can get even the girls, if they go out, the safetiness of just, we can let anyone go out for the bulls or for the cows, and there's no bull there, because it is very dangerous. When it's okay for us because we know what the bull nature is like, but if we have anybody else there, they won't know what the nature of that bull is. So if the bull is gone, oh my God, it takes the pressure off having anybody working in the farm. Just that safeness is there, that the bull is not there to go attacking or anything, to be safe.
I suppose since starting this trial work, and back 2 years ago, when Des came here originally, and I suppose we'd be sceptical by nature. We'd have to actually touch something to believe it, and we keep figures, and our figures have to be accurate. So the work that we've proceeded with, came through different periods of something working exactly to something not quite happy with it. Whether it was a changed bolus or a repositioning of the receivers, and it has moved on. I think the development of the system. I would think that things that we've looked for from the system has been put into the development of it, but the thing has really come along nicely, and our point of view is all about confidence. And it's until we get to the point of being 100% confident, and that we can rely on that it doesn't get the tick, that it's past that stage. But now, I mean, when we've gone through breeding and we've gone through the accuracy of it, and the what can be in calf at this stage, and where we're going with it, I think, look, from an accuracy point of view, we're exactly where we want to be.
Definitely, yeah.
And just not on top of that, but this is showing up a whole lot more than probably what we would have expected. Of course, we were, it was fundamentally different to the other products, and that it does a body core temperature and measures them. But what you get out of that, on top of the breeding, like it's just full cow health, full herd health, and
the body temperature was very important as well.
It was brilliant.
Because especially when you were away, and I'd be stuck with a cow saying sick, and I'm not sure what's the story. We were both able to chat to each other, even though he might have not been here, and we could say, well, what would we do? And it was there on the phone, so it was actually really
brilliant.
Good.
I think we could actually go on holidays now again.
Yeah, it would be lovely.